Closure. We talk about it like it's the final chapter in every story, isn't it? Like without it, we can't move forward. But here is the question: do we really need closure? Or is it something we chase because we are uncomfortable with unanswered endings? Today, let's dive into this, alright? Let's strip away the fluff, the movies, the social media quotes, and look at the closure in raw human terms. Because sometimes healing doesn't come from closure, it actually comes from acceptance. Hi everyone, I hope you are doing great from which part of the world or wherever from the world you are watching, sorry, listening this. My name is Dr. Mukund, aka Dr. M. Rider. Today, in this episode, I'm gonna deep dive a little bit into closure, and I'll also talk about do we really need it or not. Okay. Before that, I'm gonna break down this episode into 5 parts so that we will have a very clear and crisp kind of understanding so everyone can get along with what we are trying to discuss. All right, let's dive into the part 1, the myth of closure. Yep. People believe closure is something like, someone else gives us answers, right? But in reality, the closure is rarely what we think. Let me give you an example that we all are experienced somehow in our life. Think about it like, how many times have you waited for that one last conversation, or that one last text, or that one last apology, and only to realize that it didn't really change anything. Maybe it gave us like 5 minutes of peace, maybe, but the pain came back again and again, right? Why is that? Why? Because closure that depends on someone else is never permanent. That's the truth. Closure is often marketed as, like a final door shutting. But life doesn't work in neat endings, isn't it? We all experience this. You can just reflect back to our own life, we will know that. All right. Let's just go to part 2 of this episode. I'm gonna name this as like acceptance versus closure. I'm gonna talk about that now. So here it is. What is acceptance and what is closure? I'll simplify it much in simple terms. Acceptance is basically internal thing. Closure is often external thing. I'll give an example to understand even better. Let's just say if someone leaves your life, like it may be from the job, or they might have expired suddenly, or they move to a new different city, country, somehow life just happened. And if you may never know why, right? And if you do, it may not even satisfy you, right? We all been there. But if you learn to accept that not everything needs an explanation, you free yourself, isn't it? That acceptance is actually the freedom. So the closure becomes dependency. Let's just say your close friend, or you are in a relationship, or your family members, your brothers, sisters, whoever they may be. They had to leave the country or they have to leave the house for some reason, for their own growth or whatever it may be. And sometimes they don't even give you a full explanation of why and this and that. No, they just want to leave, they leave, that's it. And you might be sitting there wondering why they left, why, blah blah blah, overthinking and overthinking and overthinking. You just trap yourself in the overthinking loop, and you know you will be more frustrated. Rather than that, it's very often very easy to just accept it's a time in life, they had to move on and they did, that's all. And that gives you like an instant acceptance, that literally gives you a freedom to do whatever you do. But most people got stuck in that loop and they are just stuck there forever and ever. That's true, that's true. So basically acceptance is kind of a freedom and closure is kind of a dependency. Believe it or not, that's the truth. So do we really want healing, or do we want stories that make sense? Because the two are not always the same, they're not. We all experienced at some part of in our lives, isn't it? So yeah. So let's dive into part 3 of this episode. You often have heard this saying like time heals everything, time heals. But now I'm gonna say this, time heals, but not alone. People say time heals everything, but really? No, not really. Because it only heals what you do with that time that matters during that point of time. Alright? Like for example, you just wait there for the closure, for all the answers. You don't do anything. You just stuck there. Or you can use the same years to build, learn, love and move forward. Choice is yours, but the outcome will change significantly if you choose to expect closure, you know, rather moving forward. If you move forward, your life is a different life. If you choose to have closure, you're stuck forever. Let me share you a story that I have seen in my close circles. Alright? So I know people who are like, they had some, disturbances in their lives and they were waiting for the apology like almost from like since 10 years. Yep, that's a very long time. And I also know other people who got no closure at all, but they really built new lives. They moved to a new country, new relationships, new found peace, anyways, right? They took the leap of faith and they did it. So, this is the question, who do you think healed faster? This is for everyone who is listening to you. This is my question for you. I'm going to repeat it once again. Based on this narrative, based on the story I just disclosed, who do you think healed faster? Exactly my point. So, you think about that deeper and you answer yourself. If you get the answer, good. If you don't, you're probably still stuck. You are still expecting closure. Let me just dive into next part 4. I call this closure is overrated, people. Really. healing doesn't always come with a ribbon tied around it, isn't it? Sometimes life leaves open loops. That's the truth. Whether we believe it or not, it does. Sometimes you don't get any answers, any explanations, nothing. Just life happens. That's it. I will give you an example so that you'll all understand much better. Imagine a book or a movie you are watching or you are reading a book. If you really, really observe, not every character gets a perfect ending, isn't it? If you really, 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 really observe a movie or a book, the narrator or the director who is actually creating the stories, not every character gets a perfect ending. No. At first, if you really observe, it just frustrates you. Why is it always about the main character? What happens to the other characters? Nobody cares, nobody wants to know. Yeah, that's true. But later you realize that, that might make that story real. That's what life might be. You just don't need to know in the first place, isn't it? Closure is nice if it comes, but it's not required. What do you think? Think about this a little deeper, not on the superficial level, because if you just think on the superficial level, you won't get any answers. So think a little bit more deeper and deeper. You'll understand what I'm trying to say. So it's going to be very, very important to understand, isn't it? So now I'm going to move on to the final part of this episode. I call it part 5, how to move without closure. I'll give you like literally 5 practical points. You can note it down or you can write it down or you can listen it again and again so you will understand it. So this will definitely help for the people who are stuck in waiting for the closure loop. All right. Number 1, shift focus inward, which simply means ask yourself, what do I need now? Not what do they owe me. If you get the answer for that, great. If you don't worry, I still have 4 more practical points which might help you. Detach from explanation. That's number 2. Detach from the explanation. Not every ending has a why that satisfies you. Right? You get my point, right? Yeah. Number 3, redefine healing. Yeah, let's just say healing is nothing but being at peace. We don't need answers. The moment you redefine it, that's it. You are at peace, you feel much, much lighter, you can move forward in your life. Number 4, creating your own rituals. Like just say in the digital world in 2026, for example, you can just delete that chat, delete those photos you have a memory of, closing those tabs, something like that. That will definitely will help you one way or another. Try to do it, because you know why I am telling all this? Because our mind is a beautiful thing which has a unbelievable characteristic trait that it will forget everything if you give enough time. Yeah. But sometimes you need to also take efforts to move on, especially when you are stuck in this closure kind of a loop. You definitely need to move on. If you sit there waiting for the answers, you're gonna be stuck there forever. God knows how much time it will take for you to come out. All right. So yeah. Number 5, anchor forward. which means put your energy into like new projects, new journeys, new things, new hobbies, new anything that breaks the old chain. Keep yourself a little busy with the things you like to do in your life. That definitely helps. So, do we really need closure? Really? Maybe not. What we need is actually peace. What we need is acceptance. What we need is to remember that our healing is in our hands, not in someone else's apology. Closure may never come, but peace you can create today. Closure isn't an ending, it's actually a choice to begin again. Yep, I said it. Closure isn't an ending, it's a choice to begin again. And here is my question to you all. Are you going to wait for the closure, or are you going to take the choice to begin again? It depends on you. I hope you choose wisely though. So there we come to the end of this episode. Before closing this episode, I would love to thank you all for taking time and tuning in for today's episode. I'm really thankful to you all, you know, because from the day I started till now, I'm getting a good response all over. So we do have an international audience as well, and I hope they are able to understand what I'm trying to say. So thank you so much for taking your valuable time and tuning in, listening to my thoughts, my perceptions, my way of looking at life in general, and giving me this grateful chance to share with you all. So, on this note, once again, thank you very much, and I'm gonna definitely gonna catch you up with next episode that's gonna drop on Tuesday. So I'll catch you on next Tuesday's episode. So until then, take care. I hope you all are healing in much positive way and moving forward in your life. On that note, I am Dr. Mukund, aka Dr. M Rider. I'm gonna drop off all my social media links in the description. You can check it out there. Okay, you can follow me there. And if you really want to, if my episodes really helped you in one way or another, you can message me there sharing your story. Maybe if you are fine with it, I will also talk about that in my upcoming episodes, you know, so that we can have little bit more insights about this from own experiences of people all across the globe. On that note, I'll see you on the next Tuesday. Until then, take care. Bye bye. This is Dr. Mukund, aka Dr. M. Rider, signing off. Peace.